I don't know. I think I missed my chance.
What's the matter with you?
Life isn't fair, Shemaine. You go to school, you have big dreams.
She's such a disappointment.
You've started cooking again. How is
His name is Tapua. Bye, love you. He's the only thing I managed to do right in this life.
So, we're looking for 16 chefs to take part in the new season of Battle of the Chefs.
You should enter, Mom. I really think you could do it. This is for professional chefs. I wouldn't stand a chance.
How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. Surviving the winter here in South Africa, but it's been good. It's been good. Lockdown has its ups and downs, but it's good.
Yeah.
Overall, I think I'm just really positive and staying positive, basically.
So let's talk about lockdown. Where have you been locked down? Who have you been locked down with? And what have you been doing during lockdown?
So lockdown for me started in March, and I just come back from Los Angeles, which was amazing. So you can imagine my stress though, because I was coming from the States and COVID had hit, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got Corona. And then I got tested, like literally, like I think within a week of arriving back in South Africa, because my parents stay in South Africa. So I came back to Joburg and I got tested, and to my relief, I was negative, but the stress I had for like a week and a half was intense. So lockdown, that's how my lockdown started. And then I've been working on a one-woman play, my first one-woman play, theater. And it's unfortunate that the theaters, it's exciting. It's unfortunate that the theaters have been closed and are potentially going to be closed until next year. Yeah. But we're still working on the play nonetheless. And then what else have I been doing? Then Cook-Off happened. Well, it didn't happen. It just was released on Netflix. So that's kept me very, very busy. And I'm grateful for that because I get to be super busy during this time. Before the Netflix release, I wasn't as busy. And sometimes I'd get really, really like, you know, when you just don't have stuff to do and then it becomes like super like anxious. You become super anxious. So... So I'm glad to be busy and to be interacting with people like you. I've been following Ndini Media like on Instagram for, I don't know for how long, for a while now. Maybe since last year. Yeah, it's been a while. And I was like, I was so excited. So to have you contact me, and I'm really excited to be here and to be on this platform. Yeah, so lockdown has been up and down, but to be honest, I've been learning so much. So in fact, today, I said to myself that this lockdown has been helping me discover a lot about myself because this lockdown I've been Googling like my personality profiles. I've been doing like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the feminine archetypes.
I've heard of archetypes. I didn't know there was feminine ones.
Yes. So a friend of mine linked me to that. And so I there's a lot that I've been discovering, and I feel as though I'm in a place of transition, especially after the Netflix release. So this lockdown and just the whole year, 2020, I believe is a time for me. I'm transitioning and I'm evolving. And it's a good place to be in because I've been working so hard over the years to come to this place of change. It's funny because change is actually, it can be very hard, but it's happening anyway. It's almost like pregnancy, right? Like your pregnancy can be hard. It can be, exhausting, but the actual final push of it is the painful part. So I guess that's kind of like what I'm going through right now, like a transitioning period. And a lot of things are just like, oh my gosh, like it's almost like introspection and just that evolving period has been very, very interesting. But I'm here and I'm alive.
You're here, you're alive, and let's just unpack that a little bit more. So you said you're transitioning, you're changing. What do you think you're transitioning from and to?
So, that's been the very, very interesting part of this introspection is that, and it actually, it happened to me about 3 weeks ago when I when I was having a conversation with a stranger, and it's funny that a stranger is the one who kind of, triggered or awakened or enlightened me, because I'm a really, really chilled person in general. I'm very, very chilled. But then, see, I think sometimes I forget that, well, not sometimes, but of recently with this, transition onto Netflix, the platform has become bigger. It's become global. And you see, the danger is that sometimes when that happens, when the transition happens, and maybe you're not aware of what that actually means as a person. Like, I think I wasn't aware 3 weeks ago. I was not aware what it meant, for that switch from me being just a local TV girl, to me being on Netflix and now being a global, like, people all over the world are watching me. Like, that transition, I was not aware of its impact or what it actually means. And I think that's what I've been trying to kind of mold or to grasp or to create for myself. So what does this mean for me? What does this platform mean for me? And because, see, this stranger has a 12-year-old daughter. And this 12-year-old daughter, you're telling me that his daughter looks up to me. And I was like, and the way he was explaining it to me made me realize that I wasn't actually aware, because I'm so chilled, and I wasn't aware that I need to step up. It's almost as though I need to elevate, or I need to step up to it's not a challenge, but it's more of a platform or a position that I've been afforded, or the privilege that I now have, and kind of walk in those shoes, and not, because I was tempted to almost reject it because I'm so chilled. I just want to be at home. I don't want to, you want to stay in your bubble.
Work. You just want to do the work, and
I just want to act. Can I just act? And you're so tempted to just kind of remain in your comfort zone, right? And just stay in your cocoon and just be sheltered by what you're used to, instead of actually accepting what has happened and stepping into it. Because he was saying that now his daughter is looking up to me, and I'm like, what does that mean? What do you mean? Like, can you stop? So that's what I've been kind of been on a journey with the last 3-4 weeks. And so that introspection, what am I afraid of? Why am I afraid of stepping into this platform? Like, so facing all those fears and like those maybe insecurities that I think most of us probably have about ourselves. Like, why are you afraid of showing up and being who you are or who you're called to be? And just kind of, facing them head on, because there's no time to waste.
Okay, I'm going to you up for a second, because we just went deep, and people are like, what does she do? For anybody who doesn't know, so for us who are so immensely, just incredibly proud of you and also what the film has done.
Yeah.
We know who you are. But for anybody who doesn't know who you are, who is not Netflixing and chilling, who doesn't know about the film, how would you describe yourself or introduce yourself?
So my name is Tendai, and I am a professional actress. I've been acting for almost 10 years now. This is including my training years. And I am also very much interested in business and how the creative arts merge with commerce. And so, especially because the arts are usually, in some parts of the world, they're not usually well funded. So I'm passionate about trying to make or creating ways or avenues that enable artists to have sustainable careers, because I think that's what we're all fighting for in the arts industry, is to have stable careers. And that's how you find that sometimes parents would be like, oh, no, don't do the arts, those kinds of things. So it's just basically what I'm passionate about is that, and also using the arts as a form of not just storytelling, but of changing perceptions and influencing people's mindsets and just changing the world through the arts, especially storytelling and film and television. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
And you talked about something which I think African parents in particular, but I think parents all over the world probably can relate to, is this fear about when your child wants to do something that is in the arts, kind of trying to say, well, that's not a proper job. What was your parents' reaction to you saying this was the path that you wanted to follow?
Well, they were at first a bit shocked because I wasn't acting in high school. I discovered acting at university, and I had gone to university to study journalism and media. But what happened was, because I had been so interested in literature in high school, when I discovered drama as a course, I decided, well, drama is basically literature put in action, or it's like performance of literature, basically. And so I was like, well, this is the best way for me to build my self-esteem and to still do what I love. And, it was just going to be a side thing. But then when I started acting or taking these drama classes, I fell in love with the drama classes. And each time I was in class, I would tell myself, this is where I want to be for the rest of my life. So I only told my parents after I'd graduated, because I then just took on drama and film as extra majors. And I didn't drop off the one that I'd started with. And so I graduated with a triple major, and I told my parents after graduation that I wanted to be an actress. I didn't not finish a degree or anything like that. I just did it.
That's important. Have your paper.
I decided to just do both. What I wanted. It was a lot of work though, but I think it was worth it. I think everybody was happy. When I graduated, everybody was happy. They were like, "Oh, okay, great, you finished." But then when I broke it to them, they were not as excited. Again, like I said, it's not an easy industry to be in. But I believe that there are ways we can change that, and I'm going to be part of the change for that. But I just encourage, what I always encourage people who want to be in the arts is just be the best, or at least work super hard to be very good at what you want to be doing. And then also leverage what you're good at with other skills, so that it's not like, you're only an artist, but what else can you do? You know what I mean? How else, if you were to switch industries, would you be able to do that? If, could you work in another industry if you had to, or if, there arose a need to do that? Just like, it's not a plan B, but I think everybody needs to have diverse skills nowadays anyway. So that's what I would encourage artists, because artists usually tend to be very narrow. It's not narrow-minded, but you get so engrossed in your art, and that's all you want to do. But that's not always the best approach. So
how did you get started? So you graduate, you break the news to your parents that this is the path that you want to follow. And then what? Because I'd imagine it's very hard to get gigs. It's very hard to find work. What were your steps in terms of how did you start to make this a career?
So I graduated. In fact, my parents told me to look for a job. So I didn't actually start off acting. I spent lots of months, maybe about 7 months, looking for a job. And then the jobs were not coming. No interviews, nothing. It was dry. I do believe, though, that if I had gotten a job that year, straight after uni, I probably wouldn't have become an actress. That's the honest truth. Because usually what happens is, once you're in corporate, you kind of get comfortable, and, there's security, and everyone's happy with you earning money every month and stable and whatever. But what happened was, I didn't get any work. And so I decided to I defaulted back to what I loved, which was acting, or at least performance. So I got my first job in Joburg as a roadshow TV host. No, not TV, roadshow host for live shows. It was a youth marketing company that went to high schools all around Joburg. And me being a Harare girl, coming from a small city. It's not small, but compared to Joburg, it's kind of, smaller.
Yeah.
Joburg was this big jungle. I mean, yeah, it was so mind blowing to just kind of go everywhere with this show. But while I was doing that show, that's when I met an actress, a famous actress. I met her while I was getting my hair done, and she told me oh my gosh, this is going to be such a long story. But basically, I met her, and she's the one who introduced me to my agent, my first agent, and that's how I started. Well, once I got the contact, I then applied to get into the agency. So the agents basically help you to go for auditions, and then you so that you can get a job on TV or in film. And so once I had an agent, that's when I started auditioning. But I only got my first TV gig 3 years later, because it was just audition after audition after audition. And so now you can imagine my mom and dad just like, we done told you to go and get a job. So
never mind your mom and dad. How do you? So I'm thinking like after the first rejection and then the second rejection, then you go for the next interview and nothing. How do you keep up the spirit, the energy, the dream 3 years on? What was it that kept you going?
It was really difficult. I'm not going to lie. It was really difficult. And these are the things that they probably don't tell you about in school. They train you as best they can and they give you the skills. But the journey is so different for everybody, you know. Whether you get your job, your first TV job or film immediately or 5 years or 10 years later, they cannot predict. Nobody can predict that. And so it's your journey to just walk and to persevere in. And I mean, there's so many times I really wanted to give up. And in fact, I did kind of give up. And then while I was on this hiatus, I was not, auditioning anymore. That's when I got my first TV gig. So it was quite interesting. I think it was more like, I think I let go. And I just told God, so this is 3 years later, I let go and I did tell God, I said, God, you know what, if this thing is supposed to happen, then you're going to have to make a way. But for now, I'm not going for auditions. And so how it happened was the production company was actually looking for a Zimbabwean actress. And they had heard about me from another producer I'd worked with 3 years before. And so they were headhunting me basically, which was different from me going for auditions and wanting to get work. Yeah. So it so happened that when I was giving up is when these people were actually headhunting someone like me. So that was, I guess, the grace of God and also great timing on God's part because I was about to just throw it. And that's when I applied to do my master's. So I decided to go back to school, and giving up meant going back to school and, but then after I got the first gig, I juggled the two. I decided not to give up on my dream anymore. So, but it wasn't easy. That's what I can say.
What was that first role? Was it a film role, a TV role? Like what kind of role was it?
It was a TV role, and my character was very, very interesting. It was a university script. So it followed the lives of 4 university students and just their journeys navigating uni life. And I'm sure you know how colorful university can be. So all the different struggles from like financial aid to family dynamics to relationships, to anything that young people face in university. And my role was being a Zimbabwean, because it was based in South Africa, so now it was an immigrant storyline with and my character dealt with issues on xenophobia, which are really hot at that time especially. And so it was interesting because I'd been living in South Africa and I had moments of some kind of discrimination here and there. And so it was interesting for my first role to be an immigrant story, and for me to be acting as a Zimbabwean, because again, being Zimbabwean, a lot of people had told me that there were no opportunities for me in Zimbabwe. You know, and I was one of the only actresses that I knew, Zimbabwean actresses in South Africa that I knew. And so, or at least who were trying to pursue it professionally. And so for me to actually land a role as a Zimbabwean was very significant for my journey, I think, personally. Even the fact that my first big film, Cook Off, is a Zimbabwean film is also very significant for me. Because again, like I said, people had told me that, you know, there's nothing for me in Zimbabwe as an actress. I should try somewhere else. I should probably not even think about acting at all. So I think it's just really opened my eyes to, you know, nothing is impossible, and I mustn't limit myself according to what people say or what the situation. Sometimes reality is actually what it is, right? It is what it is. The industry in Zimbabwe is not as big as the American industry. But is it impossible? No. Things can still happen. Something can still come out of Zimbabwe. I think that's the lesson I've been learning.
Well, let's talk about Cook Off, because something can come out of Zimbabwe. Tell me about how Cook Off happened for you.
What is it? We've entered you into the cooking competition.
What? Over the next 10 weeks, we'll be eliminating the weakest each week.
Really good, Mom.
Go big or go home.
Are you ready for this?
I'm gonna kick your butt.
I was literally, so this is 3 years later, I got my first TV gig. And
so this is 6 years on from when you graduated?
So it's, no, about 4 years on now.
4 years on, okay.
Yeah. So it took me, so straight after university, I count that. Yeah. So it's like 3 years later, I got my first gig. And then a year later, I was now on a couple of TV shows. I'd done a couple of TV shows now. Because now I had an agent and I was getting more jobs, but they were not permanent jobs, number one. Number two, they were not lead roles. Number three, it was an immigrant story now. Now it was, at first it was great, right? Oh, I get to play as Zimbabwean. And then now it's like, okay, wait, I'm either a maid or I'm a prostitute or I'm being trafficked or, and I was like, yo, this is a lot. Like, I mean, I know a lot of powerful women who are not, who are foreign in a country, but they're powerful women. These stories were not being told, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so, or at least my role as a foreign actress, I wasn't getting roles where I could be a strong female lead. So I got this epiphany or an awakening, and this is now 4 years later after graduation. And I got this epiphany, and I said to myself, Tendai, you cannot be waiting for jobs to come to you. You cannot be waiting, you know, for things to happen and for people to recognize you, especially in a foreign land. I know they've told you there's nothing for you in Zimbabwe, but maybe, just maybe, because a Zimbabwean story, I had more hopes of getting a lead role in a Zimbabwean story than in a South African story. So I just told myself, listen, you're going to have to look and find out if there's anything happening. So one of my best friends was actually getting married, and I was going to be maid of honor, and the wedding was going to be in Harare. And so being there for a month, I decided to contact the one producer. Actually, I contacted two producers that I knew in Zimbabwe. Only one responded, and that was George Jangu, who is actually the producer of Cook Off. And I just said to him, listen, I'm going to be in Harare for a month for a wedding. I'm just wondering, are you working on anything? And also, can I just come and visit your set, you know, a few times? Maybe we can collaborate on something. Maybe I can just watch. I can, you know, I don't help out. I don't know. To be honest, I was not expecting much. But lo and behold, does he not respond to me and say, listen, we're actually working on a film. And we're still looking for a lead actress. And I was like, what? Yeah, let's do this. This is on Facebook, by the way. And then he goes quiet on me for like a few days. But I was now I was pressing him. I said, listen, you just told me you have a lead role. Like, when,
Dude,
how?
don't play me here.
When, how? This is what I've been praying for, And so, and so he told me eventually, he said, listen, it's a film. Let me connect you with Tomas Brickhill, who's the director. So I spoke to Tomas Brickhill. He sent me the script and I sent him my showreel. Because remember, now I had a few TV shows that I'd done, so I could send him some of my work. And so I sent him a showreel and he sent me the script. I loved the script. I loved Anis's story. And so I told him, yeah, I'd love to be part of this project. And then after watching my showreel, said he'd love to work with me. And then that's how it happened. It literally happened within a few days. And I traveled to Zimbabwe, and within about, I think, on a Friday, and then we started shooting on the Monday. So everything, me getting onto Cook-Off, happened within a week. It was really, really quick. But so my life literally changed. Well, in terms of experience and just, like I said, this opportunity to be a lead character in a movie. It all happened in a week. And it was a decision I made to contact Joe on Facebook. For me, it still blows my mind. Like,
I mean, just as you're telling the story that I'm going to Zimbabwe, I'm just going to reach out via Facebook. It's not like I even knew them or anything.
I didn't know emails, nothing.
Wow. And then literally a week later, you're on set filming?
I'm on set filming. And yeah, that was amazing for me. The whole experience was such a blessing. Because like I said, I was really I was craving experience, and I was craving just, because when you're a lead character, you basically, you're part of the story and you get to really experience the character journey of, like from when she starts to whatever it is that she evolves into in the story. And for an actress or an actor, that's like a dream come true, like to really kind of go through all those emotions and like this whole story. So it was great. It was a great experience for me, and I'm so grateful, so grateful. And then it's 3 years later, I know, but then it goes on to Netflix. My first feature film. It's exciting. It's really.
So wait, how long did it take? Let's talk about the actual filming. So you go to Zim and you start filming on the Monday. How long did it take for you to film the entire thing?
It took about a month. So remember, I was there for a month, and now I was a lead actress. I literally could only be there for a month because I was starting school again. So remember, I'd started my master's, so I was going back to school. I was doing it part-time, and so that was like literally holiday. The month was me, maid of honor for my friend, and holiday. And so I had to leave within a month. So we literally shot all my scenes within a month. And then any other remaining scenes they shot within a few weeks, like 2 weeks. So altogether it was about a month and a half of shooting.
And I've read in different things about the budget that like literally there was no budget. Like, how did they make it work?
Well, there was a budget, but did they have the cash? That's the question. So they knew exactly how much it was going to cost and everything, but they only had $8,000 cash, like on hand, in hand. And so the fantastic thing, especially because our industry is still growing in Zimbabwe, I think what we've all been learning from this experience is that collaboration is key. First of all, the cast and crew agreed to deferred payments, so they didn't have the pressure of having to pay people immediately. And that was, I think, a great thing, because now they could have the talent, but not have the pressure of, having to pay immediately. And then also, they partnered with a equipment rental company in Zimbabwe. And so they didn't have to pay for the equipment. And those of you who know filming, there's a lot of equipment that is needed to film a movie. And so they didn't have to pay for that immediately. And then the actual set you see in the film, for those who've watched, is from Battle of the Chefs, which is an actual existing TV show that had about 3 or 4 seasons on ZBC. And so Tomas Brickhill, who's the director for the film, had been directing Battle of the Chefs, the TV show. And so when they were doing their finale for Battle of the Chefs, that's when he got this idea, wait, before we dismantle the set, why don't we make a film? And he wrote the script centered around the TV show. And that's how Cook-Off was actually written and how it came about. It was the director of the TV show who decided to make a film. And so they didn't have to build the set from scratch because it was already... So all those little things contributed to how they could make the film with very little money. It was like the little bits and pieces that came together and people collaborating and helping out and to make because the story was well written. I must say, Tomas Brickhill did a great job in writing the script.
It was fun. It was funny. It was a love story. There was sad parts.
Yeah, it was cute. To be honest, when I read it, I was like, this is so inspiring and lighthearted. It's not serious. It's not what you usually read about. Like what I said, I had come from acting as a prostitute, I was being trafficked. You know, it was so refreshing to have a character that, you know, can laugh and fall in love and cook and just live life. An ordinary person, you know.
Yeah, but the little boy, I guess he's not a little boy, but the boy who plays your son, he's so good.
So, good luck, Mom. Tapia really has his hopes up.
It's so funny.
His name is Eugene Zimbabwean, and it was his first time acting, by the way. So, but he is so beautiful, and he's such an amazing, talented young man. He did a great job. For his first time, I must say, like, there's some scenes you're just like, what, child? You did a great job. So yeah, no, he was brilliant. And I'm glad that I could tell such a beautiful story, because I feel as though sometimes not enough stories are told around single mothers and just the struggles they face and sometimes the stigma that they face and all these different dynamics and complexities of our society around single motherhood and just life, the realness of life.
And I agree with you that's what one of the things that I loved was the fact that it was such a different narrative than what we're used to seeing coming out of. I mean, I know Nigeria has produced some, big films that have been, on the lighter side, on the funnier side, but generally a lot of the films that come out of Africa are very dark and heavy, and also there's very much that savior mentality where there's the person who comes from abroad to rescue the day. So this was so lovely to have a film that was, like I said, just charming and sweet and feel good coming out of our home country. Yeah. Is this the first Zimbabwean film that's ever been on Netflix? Is that right?
Yes, it is the first Zimbabwean production on Netflix.
So tell me about that moment how did you find out that it had been accepted onto Netflix?
So the director and producer, Joe and Thomas, had been teasing us for a while. Well, me especially, I suppose. They had been telling me since like January that, listen, we're working on something. Even the pictures that you see on our poster with me holding the cooking sticks, we shot that in February. I was in Zim in February, and Thomas just said to me, listen, can you spare 30 minutes to do this photo shoot? We're working on something. That's all they told me. We're working on something. I'm like, okay. So then now when was it now? In April? No, in May, because it was released on the 1st of June. So in May, 2 weeks before it was going to be released, I get this message from both Joe and Thomas saying, we want to have a call with you, all of us. I'm like, call with me, all of you? That's never happened before. You know what I mean? And that day, I knew something special was about to happen. I even put on my best sweater. And I made sure, and then, because I was like, there's something different about their request. Do they not tell me on a call like this? Because now it was already lockdown, so everyone was just being, we were all doing video calls at that time. And so they tell me, and they didn't even tell me. Do you know what they did? They sent me the picture of the poster on my WhatsApp while they were talking to me like this. And they're like, we sent you a message, look at your phone. And I'm looking at my phone and there's a poster and it says Netflix. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. I was crying. I was screaming. I just couldn't believe it. It was a great moment. It was a great moment. I won't lie. It was a beautiful moment. We're all very, very happy and excited because, like I said, the film came together because of collaboration and just passion for filmmaking and storytelling. And so to have a project that, was kind of made from nothing but just that, to actually land on an international platform, that was such a beautiful and fulfilling moment. And we can only get better and better and bigger from here. There's no stopping us now.
So what had happened to the film? So you'd filmed it, and then what had happened to it in the interim between you finishing filming and then it eventually getting onto Netflix? Had it played at any cinemas in Zim, or what had happened to it?
So it hasn't actually had any cinema run at all, but it was going to many, many festivals around the world. So we went to lots of festivals, and I actually had the privilege of attending I attended 2 festivals with the film, and then in LA and in Durban. And then I also attended a UK tour. We had a UK tour last year. So we went to a couple of festivals, but it was just all over Seattle. It went to Belgium. It went to where else did it go? Went to some Kenyan festivals as well. So it was just going around festivals, which was great, I suppose, in terms of getting people's feedback. So I think Thomas and Joe already had an idea of how it would be received internationally if it was to go on an international platform, based on the fact that we had the feedback from the different festivals that it had gone to. And so that's what it was. So for 3 years, it was just going around festivals. And then they were working on trying to get a distribution deal. Because, as you might already know, Zimbabwe is a very small market. I think anything that we make, and this is my opinion and what I've been trying to think about, how do we create work that is palatable for the international audiences, because our market is very small. If we're going to base sustainable industry on just us, especially with our economic situation right now, we're actually limiting ourselves. Rather, we must tap into the wider markets and whatever. And that's why Cook-Off, I think, has been a great example of this, because it has international appeal. It has some universal themes to it that anyone from anywhere can possibly relate to. It's a very light-hearted, simple story. It's not like this mind-vexing storyline, but a lot of people, if you watch it, you can identify with it. It's very relatable. So if we can make more work that is internationally received well, I think we'll be doing ourselves a great thing, because our market is very small in Zimbabwe at the moment.
Here's what I'd love to ask you as our community. So I want to know from you, who do you want me to have on the show? Who would you like me to interview? Who are some of the amazing women whose stories you would like for us to share on this platform? If you have any fantastic ideas, and even better, if you can connect me with them, please comment, leave your comment, or DM me and tell me who are some incredible stories I should be sharing on this platform. And the other ask that I have of you is for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and share. Please share. If you find any of our interviews inspiring, please share them with your friends and family.